Welcome to this week's Swarf and Chips 10-minute tour. You're going to love this. It's sponsored by Interco Special Steels and Alloys, and we are here at EB Motorsport in Barnsley. And this man is a car genius. Mark Bates, why am I saying this to everyone?
I think you've just made that up on the spot there.
No, but you really are a car genius. What is it you're making here?
So we specialise mainly, as you might have imagined, in classic 911s. Along with various other, anything really customer wants, but no, Porsches is our sort of area specialty, born out of a hobby that grew maybe 15 years ago. So this car's a 1965, early May I believe, matching numbers car that's been here for a while, going through a bare metal restoration. Literally every nut and bolt on this car we've been through and evolved, but a lot of subtle tweaks. We didn't want to annoy the purists, so we've kept the main silhouette of the car without doing any drastic changes, but a lot of subtle details. Handmade overriders, for instance, custom wiring loom, all the little details and fittings on the engine, the interior. I mean, for instance, with the facilities we've got between the UMC 750, the ST10 and the 3D printers, all the interior looks stock. That was a key principle of it, but every part of the interior we've remanufactured with all modern control gear. So for instance, this is the only short wheelbase in the world to feature full HVAC system, so we've got modern electronic air conditioning with solenoid activated controls, short shift with magnesium gear knobs, multi-stage process, I think 7 processes just to make the shift knob. The steering wheel horn pushers, combination of CNC machining and
This is why I said he's a genius, by the way.
And 3D printing. But really, a lot of technology from modern era in an old car. This is one of our cars. This is again a 1965 because we have to be pre-66 for the FIA series that we race in. So this car we've owned for a number of years. Again, full restoration here, bare metal, body, paint work.
24 karat gold on the back.
That one is 24 karat gold. Right. This one isn't because it's our race car, so we kind of stop somewhere. But everything on this, all the paint work, all the stripes are hand painted here, just to show the customers at the race circuits what they get by coming to EB Motorsport.
Some of the parts that you've covered and you've talked about are fascinating. Can I just show you? You're telling me that you can pretty much machine everything.
Yeah.
Are you machining your trophies as well?
No, some of those came from Sunday swap meet and the rest were eBay from memory.
I don't believe you at all. Yeah. They're incredible. And the gold one in the centre, that's kind of a bit of a special accolade for yourself.
That came from, you only get those from when you obviously race in Germany. That one's from for winning the 4-hour trophy race on the Nordschleife against some very famous drivers back in 2015. And we've a whole collection there, yeah, without going into too much detail. Spa 6 hours, GTS 11 class winners, World Sports Car Championship winners for 2 years in a row, amongst various others.
Making these parts, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, this was the car that really started it all. This is 1973, that's evolved into 2.8 RSR specification. Every component on this car is generally manufactured here, from the body panels. It runs our polycarbonate glazing, the wheels, because again they're no longer available. We have those machined for us. The brake components, the hubs, engine, gearbox, all runs our modifications.
Right. We've got one more car to see, and then we're going to take you on a bit of a tour of some of the plant and the equipment that kind of goes behind everything. So just tell us a little bit more about this.
This is to us a very special car. This is really the iconic car of the 911 era. So this is an almost 100% accurate reproduction of the RSR Turbo that came second in Le Mans in 1974. I think we're into our 6th year. Many people told us, including the likes of Jürgen Barth, just not to even attempt to reproduce it, because other than the basic silhouette, nothing is standard. The floor pan's different.
Wow.
Every fastener on this car was titanium in period. So we've had to reproduce all of those in order to meet the requirements to get technical passport on there.
Mark, what's interesting is the fact that you're not about big battrons here or anything that. You're quite the opposite. You will stop at nothing. You're making parts that aren't even made, you know, so like they're not there. So you're kind of recreating. Come over here, let's have a look.
Yeah, it's all about, and it's the eye for detail, because we're in an industry where this is people's hobby, and when they get a component, they really want to, it's not only got to perform, it's got to look right, everything about it. We have to be at the top of our game.
And exactly, you're not chasing pennies in this industry, are you?
No. So Jake here, we do everything from bare basic fastener production right through to cylinder head work. So that Jake's flow bench testing, some cylinder heads. Here's an example of what's on the bench. So this is, we've developed the port geometry here. That's been 5-axis machined. The valve seats, the valve guides, a lot of custom work on these heads. And you're moving on, examples. The tinware shroud here, this is all carbon fibre, this is a new development. All this carbon fibre work's done here in our fiberglass production shop. Again, all on site? Machine work, all on site, all done here. Wow. Gearbox, that's an early 901 gearbox being built for competition car, 915 RSR gearbox, magnesium with external oil coolers.
Mark could talk about this all day,
I could,
right?
Could.
It's a 10-minute tour, but I've got a funny feeling we may go over slightly, but it's worth it, I believe. So, right, quickly whiz through some of these parts as well then, Mark.
Endurance calipers used on 917s. Originally, I mean, this was the caliper that made us invest in the UMC, because really to produce these for the Martini car you've seen over there. So these are 6082 main body, 7075 pistons, stainless steel pad retainers. All the fixings on here, all the fasteners, again, they're all titanium. We couldn't make those without having things like the ST10Y with that 4th axis.
From HAAS, yeah.
The combination of those machines allows us really to manufacture these. And as you'll see here, it's really important, as I said to you before, if the brakes fail, you're in trouble. So we go to a lot of time to tool up, to jig and invest to make sure that what we're manufacturing is right for the customer.
So we've just seen something similar over here.
Yeah,
so tell me about what you'd have here then.
So a combination of GT2 heads for repair, barrels for work. This is typical of an engine case that's come in. You'll see it's got broken head studs. So this will go through full works for competition machining and also the repair work.
Can I just state, because you've shown me this before, you know, this is, how old is this?
So that one's probably from the late 70s, 78 to 82, somewhere around there.
And because they're racing, you're improving. So just to tell everyone that have been listening, you can see how it's squared off here. This. Now what they're doing is they're kind of trying to improve for people who are racing these cars. And I don't know the lingo as such, but you can see the shape has changed, and that's for the air to flow through.
Yeah, it's called boat tailing. So that's the bearing web, and it's fairly square. So you can see there's a lot of resistance as the piston travels up and down. It was a common process in the day, but typically done manually with die grinders, emery paper. What we've done is taken modern technology available to us, flow dynamics, and move that into what you see there, and the advent of 5-axis machining and what its capabilities are.
There is so much. I mean, we needed like a half-hour swarf and chips. Tell me what's happening here and what you're doing here.
Gearbox case been through the machine shop to replace the bearing bridle. That's so this is a magnesium case. That's a 17-4 stainless steel insert that we machine and then sweat into the case. And obviously we post-machine everything, time certs. Again, this case features a lot of titanium, all titanium studs, oil plugs, 5-axis CNC machined, reinforced side cover. That's been matched, so there's no fretting on there to deal with the extra performance.
It's the tolerances that you're working to, and I mean that this goes on the 5-axis as well. And what was it, 2 mil clearance?
Oh, it was 0.2 of a millimetre clearance between tool collision when we're machining that. That's that really pushed the envelope of the 5-axis. So that was a nearly 300 kilo billet of a 6082 when we started with it.
Right, okay, follow us, because you've got a lot of plant here, and you've got some older machines, but you've got some of the latest ones too.
Yeah, I mean, we've obviously the business started over 60 years ago, and we've kept a lot of the machines. So this is another example of investment. This is a 4-axis press, but it features LAMS, laser angle measuring system. So when we're pressing a component, we've got offline cam for this as well, which was a ridiculous amount of money in my opinion, but that allowed us to, when we're developing the parts, to make sure that when we're pressing them afterwards, the K factors are all accurate. And what the LAMS does on bigger materials, so if you've got an expensive cut part, it means that it will measure the angle as it's being folded, so the grain of the steel changes, depends on the direction.
And just the technicalities
so it means
here.
that, it means that it makes us more competitive, reduces the cost for the customer, and really allows us to offer the pinnacle of production.
Some of the materials that you're talking about, we'll cover them in just a moment. So we've got some of the machines around here, but let's talk about, actually, I'm just thinking about time. Anything to cover in terms of plant and equipment down here?
Yeah, so we've got a series of injection moulding machines, extrusion machine, regrind, so we're not putting sprues and things to waste. A series of old presses, so we've got 50 tonners, 100 tonners. The collar guillotines, a number of years old. We've got wire forming, mandrel forming.
We've got some nice bikes in here as well.
Yeah, we've got some bikes there. And we've got the old Edgewick. That's from 1900 something
in the far
or other.
corner over
yeah,
there.
And we had
You're
that
still
restored.
using
We still use it. It was restored in Halifax a number of years ago. But for odd jobbing, I wouldn't say it has the precision that you'd want for some of the things. But you definitely need a manual machine in the shop.
Right,
stuck
okay.
Without it.
Let's come around here.
Yep.
A little bit of a tight squeeze.
It is.
But here we go. We've got the HAAS ST. Always happens. Machinist just runs away every time we go by a machine. The ST10, but you went for the Y-axis.
We did.
It was. I know that you've said to me off air or off camera, you've said you don't want those irregularities. You want to keep that part, less operations.
Yeah, I mean, some of the components we had, multi-stage, you know, in the early days, some of the guys said we'd have more flexibilities if we had a turning centre and a mill. But the problem with that is you were having to remove components, reposition them, and there was always this issue of having misalignment, tolerance issues. I mean, it's been a fantastic little machine. The stuff we've really pushed this on the size of material and the complexity, to the point where we even have 4-axis cam works, so we can program this offline, because some of the parts we make, it'd be a challenge for someone to manually program. And
you've already told me that if you were looking to invest, you wanted to grow with HAAS as a brand as well, which is lovely to hear.
It is, but I mean, I've no reason to even look elsewhere. From the quality, you've seen the quality of components we're making on the machines. You know, they're a number of years old. We have minimal amount of problems. When we do have issues, because everybody does, the team at HAAS have generally been great, have a good relationship with the MD there, Andrew. You know, and he's a petrol head like the rest of us, so, you know, we've got vested interest there. So
I just wanted to cover as well, like, I know that you you push this machine to its limits.
Yeah.
What materials have you cut on here? Because that's really impressive as well.
We've cut everything on here, from your aircraft grade aluminiums, obviously magnesium we heard of, this is a magnesium gearbox case, all the way to variations of stainless steel, the 17-4, Maragings, another aircraft grade, and your typical EN8s, EN24s, that kind of product.
Right.
So we've you know, and we've put billets that big on the machine, we've had to lock out the table and run it as a 3-axis.
You like to push this to its limits,
don't you?
We do.
We've really challenged the limits of the machine, and it's proved fantastic for us.
Right, I think we're going to have to close there, because I think we've definitely gone over the 10-minute mark. But wow, what a facility at EB Motorsport.
Well, thanks for coming, and I appreciate you taking the time to show your viewers what we have to offer.
And also, are we going to see you in a car soon?
I would think so, yeah, if we can get the time away from here.
We could get you out of one of those cars.
No.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Mark.
Thanks again for coming.
Thank you. Thank you for watching this week's Swarf and Chips. What a pleasure and an honour to have a tour around this fantastic facility and just show off what these true engineers, geniuses, are capable of.